Greetings and salutations, everybody. This is Erik Johnon with the Division of Agriculture, bringing you the first NenTot Tuesday, where we're going to discuss things related to, being a new farmer in Alaska, and specifically some of the things you need to do in order to enter into a contract for an agriculture parcel at the Nenana-Totchaket agriculture project area, which just we had the drawing last week. And so all of you should be working on or starting to work on your state farm conservation plans. Before I get into that, some quick introductions. I'm giving the introductions now. Then I'm going to have Casey talk about some of the programs available at the Division of Agriculture, the Plant Materials Center. Then I'm going to talk about conservation plans, go through a presentation, and then I'm going to kick it to Joni at the Fairbanks Soil and Water Conservation District and some of her staff to talk about how they're involved in some of the local issues for conservation planning. So with that, Casey, could you tell us about some of the what happens at the Plant Material Center? Why might it be good for new farmers to know what you guys do, and how could you assist them?
Yeah, thanks, Eric. So my name is Casey Dinkel. I'm an agronomist here at the Plant Material Center. So at the Plant Material Center, we wear many different hats. We've got a host of different programs that we staff and house at the Plant Material Center. I'm kind of responsible for several programs, one of which is revolving around revegetation, erosion control, and more specifically, soil health. There's been a lot of soil health initiative nationwide in the last 3 to 5 years. And so we've gotten involved with that, running various programs like a variety trial, a soil health trial, and doing experimentation on how a lot of the cover cropping and various varieties they use in the lower 48 for different commercial commodity crops such as corn and soybeans, but how that applies to Alaska. Mainly in that aspect, we also have a potato program, a disease-free seed potato program, where we house anywhere in the realm between about 175 to 200 different varieties, some of which are only found in Alaska. And we kind of incorporate that into the soil health program and to the soil health initiative, kind of seeing how cover crops are working with soil health and how that works in Alaska. Additionally, we have a pathology program, which is led by Todd Steinlage. We have a first, it's about 3 years old now, I guess I would say, since its infancy, first industrial hemp program at the Plant Material Center. We also have our state invasive weed and pest coordinator, Dan Coleman, at the Plant Material Center as well. So he helps, with invasive alodia, Canadian thistle, a lot of our agricultural pests in the aquatic and the terrestrial weeds. We also have a forage program, which I kind of dual wear a hat between myself and several other employees at the Plant Material Center, where we're looking at forage value, nutritional data, day length to harvest for legumes and grasses. We house the only seed cleaning facility at the Plant Material Center, and the only state-run seed laboratory, which is kind of the foundational base for our revegetation and our erosion control, grasses and forbs that we work on a variety of projects across the state. See if I'm forgetting anything here. I think that pretty much covers the main bases, but yeah, like I said, we wear a bunch of different hats, and we help out wherever we can, but we work pretty intimately with a lot of growers across the state. So, looking forward to be able to add advice or help where I can for the NenTot project.
Yeah, and for everybody, Casey and some other staff from the Plant Material Center are going to be back on the NenTot Tuesday in 4 weeks, I believe, on November 29th. So we are going to have another chance to, get your questions ready. If you can email them to me or to him, we'll get them to him before that presentation, just so we can really hit on any information you'd really like to know about. I'm looking forward to hearing about preventive measures to keep invasive weeds out of this pretty pristine area. And then specifically, Casey does a lot of work on the soil health. And I think that can be integrated into a lot of farming practices to keep, fertilizer costs lower, to make sure your soils stay where they're supposed to be. So I'm looking forward to that presentation. Thanks, Casey.
Thank you.
So I'm going to go ahead and give my presentation on what is a state farm conservation plan. That is what a lot of you is your next step in moving forward in the process of entering a land sale contract after the ag auction number 494. So John, if you would go ahead and put that up, I'll start going through it. Sorry, folks, we're having a slight technical delay. This presentation that I'm going to go through, I'm going to go ahead and make it available. I can email it to anybody who requests it. Okay, I'm told that it is now on screen. So what is a state farm conservation plan? Next slide. State farm conservation plan is a document unique to any given state agricultural parcel. I know that some of you have bought multiple parcels, and indeed, even if you operate them as a single farm unit, you are going to need to have a farm plan for each of the parcels that you are entering a purchase agreement for. So these farm plans are completed by the purchaser. Usually it's in cooperation with state, federal, some conservation specialists. Once you've written it, I generally offer to give it a review before you send it into the Soil and Water District for their, they have a meeting, they review it, they make comments. Those comments are then sent to my director for his or her review of that farm plan. And then they will either approve it, deny it, or say, request a modification of any certain aspect of it. Go ahead and next slide. So the farm plan is developed by the purchaser. So you are inquired, so that we're sure that you're in compliance with the basic ideas of conservation. You have conservation in mind when you are making your plan and you're thinking about how you're going to use the land. Farm management decisions and adjacent. Oh, we're going to skip this slide. Why do you need to get one? You must have a state farm conservation plan in order to enter into a state of Alaska land contract. And a farm plan can protect you against if someone brings a suit against you that an ag operation is a private nuisance. This kind of gives you some protections. It helps you responsibly develop the land. It helps going through a planning process so you can reveal new ideas and practices, by talking with myself or the Soil and Water District or the NRCS. There might be, conservation measures you haven't considered, different ways of doing a practice that might be different than you'd thought of, but are better for the environment. And, generally that's going to be better overall for the farm. And an NRCS conservation plan is required to participate in certain federal programs like the EQIP program. Environmental Quality Incentive Program is a common federal program that a lot of our producers enter into. When our state farm conservation plans made, we require that you submit a farm plan before the contract can be issued. Before you develop anything new on the farm, you need to submit a new farm plan. If they're minor little changes, you can just do an update. If it's major changes, we do ask that you submit a new state farm conservation plan. We also ask that when there's a change in ownership, that the new owner come in and talk to us about what their farm management plans are. These next several slides are the specific laws and administrative code related to farm planning. And I'm going to have John just kind of put each slide up for about 5-10 seconds and then go to the next one, because I can provide this to you in further detail in an email or at a later date. Or since this is being recorded, you can just hit pause and browse these to your heart's content. But this is how I look at farm plans. This is the matrix I use, with some internal policies to decide, just that it's an appropriate farm plan. And this one right here, what is the contents of a farm plan? This is a fairly important one. You need to have a map of the farm showing, where you're going to clear anything, where you're going to break any ground, the location of real improvements like fencing, driveways, sheds, barns, a well, and then conservation, the location of any windbreaks, farm ponds, similar conservation measures, improvements. We just want to get that on paper to know where those are located. Go ahead. Who can write this plan? You as a purchaser can certainly write your own plan. You do not have to follow, you don't have to work with me directly, although, it's generally helpful. You can get assistance from the local soil and water conservation district, from the Division of Agriculture, and from the Natural Resource Conservation Service. They provide a lot of the information that you would need for this farm plan. And then you could pay a professional to prepare a farm plan for you. The NRCS conservation plan, it's a conservation technical assistance program, and it generally contains the information that is required in the state farm program. But we need, when you go to them and you ask for this for one of these, make sure you kind of go through all of your management thoughts, ideas, what you're trying to accomplish. And then you should request that they specifically highlight any highly erodible lands that you have on your parcel. And riparian areas, wet areas are also really important that you would want to have the NRCS talk to you about. So the written narrative is the main difference, or the main addition to what the NRCS conservation plan would include. We want to know, you have to identify everything that is on the map and kind of tell us, why you need that. Is it for an agricultural reason? Is it for protection of farmland? We want to, all that should be in your written narrative so we can read it, kind of get a general idea of what your intentions are, where you're doing it, and why you're doing it, how it's related to agriculture, and how it's, if there is a possible conservation concern, how you're mitigating it. Go back one more. I was just going to read those again with the last little bit. The narrative should include locations and need for any planned permanent structures such as family housing, worker housing, barns, airstrips, silos, hay storage, any of the roads you're building, hardened trails, sheds, fencing, shops, slaughterhouses. If you're having a produce stand, we just want to know roughly where it's at. Okay. And if you have questions or comments, there is my contact information. If you would send me a text message on my cell phone, that's usually a great way to get a hold of me. I might not be able to talk to you right that minute, but if I get a text, I will circle back to you as soon as I can. It looks like we have a couple of questions or comments in the chat. Go ahead and put me back up there live, and we'll go to the Fairbanks Soil and Water just in a second, but we'll answer those questions. Can you read them to me for a second? Okay. All right. We can go ahead and kick it over to the Soil and Water Conservation District then.
I'm Joni Scharfenberg, and I'm the district coordinator for the Fairbanks Soil and Water Conservation District. And I'd just like to give you a little bit information for those of you who've never even heard of a soil and water district, who we are and what we do. So soil and water districts, we are one of over 3,000 nationwide that were established after the Dust Bowl in the 1930s. So that we could have a locally led effort to prevent soil erosion of private lands and other natural resources. And their mission together across the nation is to coordinate assistance from all available sources, public, private, local, state, and federal, to develop locally driven solutions to natural resource concerns. On a state level, we are one of about 9 soil and water districts. And we are in the Constitution under AS 4110. And one of the main things we are supposed to do is help develop land and take care of the soil and other natural resource concerns. We are a mandated, unfunded part of state government, but then we're also a part of the Alaska Association of Conservation Districts, of which I said there are about 9 other districts around the state. They're really pointed to locally led areas. In the rest of the nation, they'll be county by county. That's how local they want it to be, so that we use specific issues for our area. So we work with private landowners and land users and offer, we meet the needs, I'll read our little goal here, of the local landowners or lessees and all citizens of the district by offering education, technical assistance, and promoting wise development and use of soil, water, and other natural resources. The district is the local concerns of the district are determined by 5 locally elected supervisors, and they're elected by our members, or who we call cooperators. You have to be a landowner to be a cooperator. Just come in and sign up for it if you're a landowner, and then the board approves, signs on, and says you're a cooperator, and that body of people elects the local supervisors. So it's supposed to be grassroots from the bottom up to help then determine what our local priorities will be. And our local priorities in the Fairbanks Soil and Water Conservation District include soil, water, agricultural development, forestry, natural resource education, invasive species, mining, and land development. We also act as a liaison between government agencies and private landowners. Now, we're called the Fairbanks Soil and Water Conservation District, but actually we go much further than Fairbanks. That's why Nenana is included in our district. We have over 29 million acres in our district, which includes the Fairbanks North Star Barrow, portions of the Tanana, Nenana, and Yukon watersheds. And as one of the largest districts, it is a challenge to meet the demands of this area. But we are here to serve the local landowners and users. So please feel free to contact us with your questions, technical assistance, education, however we can help you. The other thing we're mandated by the state is to review these conservation plans that we're talking about today. And each of you will have to make one of your own. So contact us for assistance, and we will be happy to help you. I'm going to turn it over now to the chairman of our board, Dan Reese, and he'll give you a little more specific information.
Hello, I'm Dan Reese. I'm on the board for the Fairbanks Soil and Water Conservation District. And Joni talked about what the district is and our role with the state of Alaska in reviewing state farm conservation plans. We're a volunteer board elected by the cooperators in our area. The main thing we look at with farm conservation plans are going to be issues revolving around wetlands and water bodies, proximity of clearing, grazing next to those features. We also consider what actions landowners planning on highly erodible lands and what actions are looking on arable lands. And so we can make recommendations, perhaps like your infrastructure, buildings and such should be on more erodible lands. And then keeping your arable lands more open for farming activities. And then the final thing we always look at is there permafrost on your site? So we do that by looking at the soil survey and making recommendations of actions as a landowner related to permafrost soils to keep the site stable and reduce erosion. So those are the main features we look at as a board. As I said, we're a volunteer board, so this is part of our service to the state of Alaska that we do. And I'll turn it over to one of our employees at the Fairbanks Soil and Water District, Aaliyah Brinkman, and she will talk about some of the specific things she can help you with if you have questions on the plan.
Hello, everyone. My name is Aaliyah Brinkman. You will be bringing or sending me your state farm conservation plans. So our location is at 590 University Avenue. It's by Alaska Department of Environmental Conservation. We're a brown building and our office is located downstairs, and you can either drop a paper copy of your conservation plan off with me, or you can send it to our email, and we will have those details posted in the chat for you shortly. We also have a website. It's called Fairbanks Soil and Water .org. So that's fairbankssoilwater.org. And we will have some resources posted for you, primarily examples of conservation plans that have come across our desk before. So you can actually see what a completed and improved plan looks like. So again, we're downstairs. You can stop by anytime with your final plans, but you can also stop by and talk with us about the development of your plan. We can give you some insight into what we're looking for exactly, and show you plans that have been done before. And just we're here to help you develop these plans as well as review them. So please don't hesitate to contact us. We'll put our email in the chat again, as mentioned. So unless you have any specific questions, I'll turn it back over to Mo.
Thank you. So that is pretty much all the content I wanted to have we have for today's first meeting. We're going to try to do these on a weekly basis to bring up new information. I'm going to have the Natural Resource Conservation Service is going to be speaking. Mining, Land and Water is going to be, the Natural Resource Conservation Service is also going to talk about the assistance they provide for conservation planning. And then I'm going to have some soil scientists who are actually out on the ground and did the updated soil survey. They're going to come talk about what they found, some of the changes. I've heard it's things are drying out, which is a good thing for agriculture in this area, but I will let them give you all the details on that, because that's what they do all the time. Let me put up this map that is a preview, if you could do that, John. So this is the one on the top. Use the existing soil survey land capability class, which is just a rough estimate on the land's ability to be used for agricultural practices. And then the lower one is it's still rough draft. The data has been completed, but it hasn't been uploaded to the National Web Soil Survey site yet. Once it is, we can produce some really slick maps with detailed reports about what those maps display. Going back to me, but there were some changes, but again, I want to let the NRCS to have the opportunity to talk about those changes, not me. I'm not an expert. So the NRCS. Then we're going to have the Cooperative Extension Service, the CES. They're going to speak about different varieties of plants you might consider, or if you've got questions about that, I want to introduce them. I'm going to have, for financial questions, I'm going to have the FSA, the Farm Service Agency, the ARLF, the Alaska Revolving Loan Fund speak, and the ARRC, the Alaska Rural Rehabilitation Corporation. Those are all ag lenders and funders in the state that I think, if you have any questions about that, that's exactly who you need to talk to And staff from Mining, Land and Water, who are actually going to be the ones writing the contracts. I'm going to have them come and talk to answer any of those specific questions you might have about that. Is there anything else, John, that I had on there? Oh, the city of Nenana and some forestry folks are going to talk in December. You cannot get on your land and start manipulating it until you're under contract. But before then, I still wanted to get the information, about proper burning methods in Alaska in this region. I wanted the city to talk. They have a wood fired boiler system that they just installed the boiler last week, and they're going to be doing test runs this winter. But in the future, they're seeing this agriculture project area as a possible source of downed timber, because there's a lot of downed timber out there that they can run through their wood fired boiler, and they think that the resulting biochar that comes out at the end of that process would be a great soil supplement. We're certainly going to do testing on that, but I wanted them to share what they're doing with you, since you are going to be building farms near their community. That's just a good contact, a good resource, and hopefully a good connection for future deals between landowners and the city. Get rid of some pesky wood you don't need, and then get back a soil supplement product. If there's any other subjects that you think should be covered in an NenTot Tuesday, please email them to me. We can add them onto the January agenda or someplace else. But for now, I appreciate. Oh, we've got
one more time. Where can folks go to see previous farm plans and examples?
Yeah, Aaliyah, can you tell them or spell out your email? Is it not in the chat?
It's not for the public.
Yeah. So unfortunately, we're having to meld Zoom and Facebook. So the chat that she sees is not the chat that you guys see. But if John said he will add it here at the end of the meeting, but if you just want to say it again, just for folks.
Yeah, sure. Okay, we have a website. It's fairbankssoilwater.org. And we don't currently have posted plans at the moment, but we will get those added here in the next couple days. And you can go to our website and our resources page to see examples of completed and approved plans.
Oh, and just the Fairbanks Soil and Water District is also working on a side project with the youth, student education on conservation planning. One of the parcels that was not offered in this auction, Tract A, that was up by parcels 1 and 2. That parcel is being retained by the state because it had that large gravel pad. But for the next couple of years, we're having the youth. They're going to write farm plans for that 100-acre tract, and just I'm hoping to eventually share what the students, their new bright ideas with you folks, since you're going to be in the same area. But we're just trying to teach as many people about conservation planning as possible. So we'll have more information on that as it comes up, but just letting you know that there will also be students tuning into these NenTot Tuesdays, because the information I'm giving you is the information that they need for their projects. So I thought that was pretty cool. And with that, I hope everybody has a good day, and I'll talk to you next week.